welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday, we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And we got a little throwback for you tonight. A nostalgic movie that we shall see how well it holds up. The very first...
Very nostalgic.
Dragonheart.
It's weird that you have to say very first, because most people don't even realize that it has 3 sequels and a theoretical 4th one coming up.
I didn't quite understand that till I looked into this movie this week to get ready. It's like, there's sequels! I remember 1, but I do not remember 3 more.
I remember seeing parts of 1 like on TV once. I thought it was a Scorpion King sequel, and it had one of the kids from Malcolm in the Middle on it, and I'm like, what in the name of God is this?
Yeah. No, I have memories of seeing some Dragonheart : something at like a Blockbuster in high school at some point, but
That would have had to be the second one then.
Yeah, because this came out when I was literally like the summer between my 8th and 9th grade years. I was just going into high school when this movie came out. And yeah, I mean, I saw this in theaters. My parents loved this movie. Like, the movies we watched in my family, the movies I watched the most over the movies that my parents liked. And if my parents liked a movie, it was on more often because we didn't have to push as hard to put it, because there was one TV, right? There was the one 13 and then 24 inches of color television in the 90s. It was glorious. But that was the only TV, so, my parents had to like what we were putting on. And this was one of them.
Yeah, man. That's the way it goes. My parents also liked this movie. They thought it was just good, clean fun. Which, oh my gosh, if you read the original script, they would not be seen that way. Yeah. And I grew up with it. I saw many times. I learned an incredibly valuable lesson. I remember the last time I saw this movie because I learned a life lesson, okay?
It is.
A genuine life lesson. Movie nights can never be, ever, a democracy.
Okay, I need you to elaborate on this lesson.
Okay, so if you're going to sit there and be like, we're having a movie night, it needs to be chosen ahead of time, okay? There's never, let's all vote and have a movie night, because you're going to get one person who just really, really wants to watch a movie, and they are going to push and push and push and push until they get their way, and nobody's going to be happy. Even they're going to sit there and go, oh no, I pushed too hard, and be really insecure about it. Because there was this girl that I grew up with, okay? Her name was Shannon. And nobody needed to know that. Her name wasn't actually Shannon. That was a lie. But she was obsessed with dragons. I think she still kind of is. And we went into this youth group movie night thing with our mutual friend Dan, who's joined us here before. And she brought Dragonheart. She wanted to watch Dragonheart. It was her favorite movie ever. And Dan does not like this movie.
Really?
He does not like
we should have gotten him on for this one then.
I don't know if he actually hates it, or maybe it was just that night, but he's like, I don't want to watch this movie. And I got this feeling that he just utterly disliked it. But he eventually just kind of caved, and we watched Dragonheart.
Well, this is definitely one that, it's weird. I remember it being big, but, the box office numbers weren't huge. But I remember this being big. I remember everybody...
The box office numbers were good enough, but it was mainly the home media release that was big.
Yeah. Well, and the soundtrack was overused. And I actually love the soundtrack, but man, that theme was in everything. But sorry, I interrupted your story. Go ahead.
No, that was pretty much it. Eventually, we gave in. My dad, at the time Dan was living with us, we went home, and Dan was kind of talking to my dad, and he was kind of explaining what happened, and my dad, in his consistently sage manner, because if you've ever met my dad, you know what I'm talking about. He goes, "That's why movie nights, youth group movie nights, friend movie nights, whatever's, can never be a democracy." And that stuck with me and has actually been incredibly useful in my lifetime. Movie nights cannot be a democracy. Never goes well.
See, I immediately am thinking as you're talking about this, the many stories I have of the group of friends when the dreaded question, "What do you guys want to do?" or "Where do you want to go to eat?" is asked, and everybody looks at each other, and it's like, somebody just pick a place because we're going to be here for an hour minimum.
That's me now. I am that guy. I don't care. I say we should go here. And if anybody says no, I make them suggest something. I have no tolerance for where do you want to eat? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a quiz for my wife to narrow down places.
Yeah. No, I have to. I love my wife. She's amazing. But I have to be like, what do you think about this place? If I just ask her where, it's. She means well, but it will be a long time before we get a decision.
Okay. Do you know about the? Do you know about the cheat code? The guessing cheat code?
Hit me.
So you have your wife. She's trying to be really nice, and just be like, "Oh, well, I'm easy wherever you want to go, and you know this person well enough that
It's
you know
a trick.
They're not easy.
It's a trap.
They'll do whatever you want, but you know that they're not going to be necessarily content with it because they're just trying to be very selfless. And so instead, you go like, "Hey, guess where we're going to dinner tonight?" And you say it in that way that like they know.
Oh, like you want them to actually guess. And then you tell them they're right.
Yes, unless it's someplace absurd.
But see, what if they catch on?
Then you what you do is you create a criteria. Okay? Like 3 questions to help you narrow down. Do you want like to sit down? Or do you want like a fast food thing we can drive through? Are you feeling kind of like more Asian, or do you want to go for someplace more like a pub? You know, like 3 or 4 questions that just help narrow it down, and then make a suggestion or 2. And if that doesn't get anywhere, tyrannicalize it.
Well, anyways,
which I just made up the word tyrannicalize.
Nice. Well, as we really have an interesting side discussion about Dragonheart, you would have been how old when this movie came out? Like
5,
maybe
4.
Oh man,
I was born at the very end of 1991, so it's odd.
Because this, the actual, I know it was 96, but it was the actual. What's the freaking? It. Okay.
What, the actual release date?
I'm almost there.
Maybe I actually had it in front of me, but I almost gave you the director's birth date
May
instead.
31st.
Really weird.
This came out 2 weeks before I turned 14.
Oh, little baby Brian.
Hey, this came out the same. Okay, this went up against Twister and the first Mission Impossible. The fact that it did okay in the theaters is like a miracle. Then those were both huge movies.
Yeah,
both
they
good
were massive,
movies, by the way.
Dude, the summers of the 90s were a special time for movies. They really were.
No.
It was almost like 2008 through 2012.
Yeah,
those were a special time for movies too.
Lots of good memories. But anyways, so full disclosure before we kind of get into the IMDb of this film, I have intense nostalgia for this movie. I saw it many times with no critical thinking whatsoever. The last time I saw this movie was, I'm going to guess, 15-ish years ago, sometime in my 20s, and I am well into my 40s at this point, just anybody wondering. So I suspect that this movie is not going to hold up as well as my nostalgia-filled heart wants it to. And I decided to not watch it again before recording this so that you guys would get my full, unfiltered either surprise at how bad it is or surprise at how much it holds up and I love it anyways, or some mixture of the two. So that's where I'm at.
You know what, Brian? It's really interesting that you say that because I decided to do the exact same thing.
We did not talk about this ahead of time.
We did not. both of us are sitting here before the podcast talking, and he brings that up, and then I'm like, well, guess what? So we're both being irresponsible movie podcasters tonight by going in not completely blind, but with some rose-colored glasses firmly affixed.
Yes, I did refresh myself on a retrospective or two, just to
because I did a lot of research on it.
Yeah, but yes, there is something about actually watching the film that. But I'm genuinely looking forward to this. We've done a lot of sci-fi. We've done some amazing sci-fi recently, and we are going to be jumping back into sci-fi next week. But this is just a fun detour.
Amazing sci-fi with a big question mark.
Not to say we'll talk about it. And we're getting Pat back for those. Just if anybody is missing him, he'll be back for those. But in the meantime, why don't you hit us with some facts about this movie, and then we'll get into it.
Some facts about the movie Dragonheart include that there is a dragon in it. No. That is your Dragonheart fact for today. But today we have Dragonheart.
Is his heart also in this movie?
What?
Is his heart also in this movie?
His heart is also in this movie, yes. There's a lot of heart in this movie, in fact, in many ways. Let's see. So this is Dragonheart, 1996, PG-13, 1 hour and 43 minutes long. This is directed by Rob Cohen, known director of masterpieces such as The First, The Fast and the Furious, Triple X, Stealth. Such fantastic
The Mummy movie. Everybody forgets
films.
about.
The Mummy 3. Oh, The Mummy 3.
We'll be watching that later this year.
The Mummy 3. Yes, we will. I'm very excited about that. I put together the idea of October Mummy Month.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
You'll deal with it. Our top cast today is Dennis Quaid, Sean Connery, Pete Postlethwaite, which I think that's pronounced differently, David Thewlis, Jason Isaacs, and Dina Meyer.
Yeah. So, oh man, when was Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers was 1997.
So it was okay. So this was right before Starship Troopers, because that's her other big movie, right?
That is correct. Dina Meyer, for those of you who may have seen Starship Troopers, she is Dizzy Flores in that. She's the redhead, the curly redhead who gets bitten in half.
Nice.
Mild spoilers for a 25-year-old movie. And being a young man who watched that movie against his parents' wishes, I have memories of her that are different when it comes to that. No further questions.
About to say, if you've seen the movie, you know.
She's been in a lot of things. Her career never really took off. She's mainly a veteran of like the Saw series, weirdly enough.
Never seen any of those.
But she hasn't had a bad career. She's just never made it to like an A-list. I would say that she's at like a solid C.
Yeah,
tier.
that's what I sort of mean.
Of TV shows.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to slide. I know she's been a working actress, successful one. But I think there was
Barbara Gordon.
That's right. Yeah, there was like there was this in the late '90s. There was a thought that maybe she would be kind of one of the next big actresses. Action, sex appeal, all that stuff. So, but I mean, Dennis Quaid, I'm a fan of his. He's interesting in this film. He's got some great moments. He's got some head-scratching moments. I mean, this was also like Sean Connery was, gosh, he had kind of had a renaissance because, I mean, in the 90s, I mean, The Rock had come out, I think in 94, if I remember right, or 95. It was around this time, which was obviously huge. And there was that one with
First Night.
Yeah, First Night, and it was just Sean Connery was
the Catherine Zeta-Jones one.
Yeah, it was like Entrapment.
The stretch underneath the lasers.
Yeah, that was Entrapment. That's when I was trying to. I'd see the VHS cover in my head, and then that was Entrapment.
Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, Hunt for Red October. Yeah, that was what 93, 92,
93.
93. I was about to say, I know it was earlier 90s. But he was, this was kind of his big last, which unfortunately culminated in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which, if you're curious, we've already recorded. And that was kind of it. But, I mean, his voice was the biggest deal about this movie besides, at the time, amazing special effects. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one.
All right. Well, let's get you ready.
One last fun thing. Okay,
Go for it.
Jason Isaacs is in this. This is one of his first major movies.
Really?
Jason Isaacs, known for being this very like suave, debonair, dangerous character, plays an utter bumbling moron of a bad guy in here, and his character's name is Felton. Okay, and I find that funny because he went on to have his most popular role of um, Lucius Malfoy in the Harry Potter series, where he played the father of Tom Felton's character. And there's nothing all that interesting about that other than that he played a character named Felton and then he played an actor's dad whose name is Felton. But I thought it was funny, and you guys have to hear about it. And
What?
Rand.
Are there a couple Harry Potter alumni, well, future alumni in this film?
Significantly.
Okay.
I mean, you have David Thewlis as the bad guy here. And David Thewlis and Jason Isaacs even have like a duel in the fifth Harry Potter movie. He's I almost said Professor Moriarty for some reason, though he would make an excellent Moriarty. Remus Lupin, the werewolf, Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher from the third movie. Excellent choice for that role. He did so good in it. Yeah, they were there, and Sean Connery was actually offered the role of Dumbledore, but turned it down.
Do you think that would have been interesting?
No.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump into this one, so we don't have a super long podcast tonight. Try not to
It's just
always
another
have
one of those with offered to
3 hour
Sean
ones.
Connery that he turned down.
We talked about it in League of Extraordinary
Gandalf.
Gentlemen. He's such an interesting guy as far as just, he's so good in so many ways, but then so kind of head scratching in others. But,
Well, he's academically very stupid. Was like that's not to say he wasn't talented or something, but he was not a intellectually gifted man.
No, he just, I think that's why so much of what he brought to film that was so good was just so natural. It was just him being him.
Yeah.
When he was in the groove, he was good. So
good.
yeah, but let's hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
Man,
That is so funny about Sean Connery, though, because when I think of a lot of his characters, I think of just like these incredibly intelligent characters. People like Marco Ramius from The Hunt for Red October, or freaking Grandpa Jones. What's his name? Henry Jones.
Senior.
Junior.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
No, I agree. He has that quality of somebody who's very thoughtful.
Mhm.
And even, I mean, you may not agree with this, but I think that even as a Bond, he wasn't like a bumbling idiot. He was somebody who was intelligent and sophisticated, and he played that well.
Well, James Bond has never been a bumbling idiot.
No, but I mean, but I think there was like the Roger Moore era, which I know was played that way on purpose, but still, there's been Bonds who have been less sophisticated. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, okay,
Man,
I could see that.
This music, though, I mean, it got overused to death, but this is one of those 90s soundtracks that, I mean, I had the cassette tape of this soundtrack. I enjoyed it very much.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. Had my
Yeah,
name brand
me
Sony like boombox as a birthday present.
Ooh.
It was a big deal at the time. Trust me. Man, they do not waste time giving you the title.
No, they don't. Oh my gosh, they don't.
Yeah, it's just
So this was filmed in Slovakia, and they actually got to use some legit old ruins and things.
yeah. Well, and that's and yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it multiple times through this. This movie is such a mixture of. You could tell that there was just some real care put into it, and they nailed some aesthetics and some vibes, and then there was just other things that just did not work. You'd probably be able to speak to this better than I could, but I mean, this movie went through quite the production hell, didn't it?
I wouldn't necessarily say production hell, because it's not like everybody was sitting behind the scenes on the movie having a horrible time making it. The actors actually had a lot of fun. They did some really cool stuff with the shoot. It was actually fairly smooth in terms of filming the movie from the stuff that I read. But getting it made, oh my God, it took years to get it made. The guy first had the idea back in like the 80s or if not earlier, and was trying to get it made, and they were going to use animatronics and puppets for the dragon. They were going to get the Jim Henson and all them. And then they saw what they were doing with the technology, and they in Jurassic Park, and then they delayed it again, and they went through all of these different directors that were interested, including Richard Donner. Oh, right here. This line. The peasants have always been revolting. Now they're rebelling.
Nice.
I love that thing. This guy's in a whole bunch of...
Oh, yeah. He pops up a lot.
A whole bunch of 90s things, and he's always like a bad guy. He's got such a face on him. I remember him from... Oh, what was it? Star Trek. And... X-Files.
Yeah, his
role on the X-Files.
Yeah, when he pops up, he's memorable. But
mostly because of his mouth.
Yeah. Well, and his cheeks, the way this just the grooves in his face. Yeah, very distinct face. This movie wears its virtue just so fully on its sleeve. There's just, I would not call this a nuanced film.
No. This is like a weird kids film. It feels like they wanted it to be more family friendly. The original writers and guy who came up with the concept was actually very unhappy with this movie because of how lighthearted it was. His original plan was something much darker, and instead this thing is this combination. I would say it's a middle ground between Conan the Barbarian and The Princess Bride.
That's interesting.
Seriously, you look at the humor in the thing and a lot of the lines that they use.
Yeah.
And some of the dialogue, but then there's also just this scene, okay, and another one later. They don't pull punches when it comes to the action. Like the scene with the redhead when she has the two axes later.
Yeah.
Dude, she just they're not cutting when the stuff hits. And it feels a little bit more real than most other fantasy movies. I'm like, this is a little bit more brutal than I expected.
So right here, I mean, we got this, there is part of me as a dad and somebody who likes, straightforward, noble, virtuous, ideas that, even though this is presented in kind of a cheesy way, no, I do like it. I like the idea that here he is, right from the very beginning, trying to show this kid right from wrong, and it's not like trying to hide it, there's the guy that we were just talking about, the distinct face, came up and was knew that you're weak because you won't kill innocent people. Man, the inside of that house lit fast, by the way. I did see one retrospective that labeled this scene. Imagine if you took all the music out of Conan the Barbarian's opening sequence and torched a village. It'd be kind of boring.
Yeah.
It is odd that. Were they did they know the king would be by himself and they were waiting for him to be vulnerable? Is that the idea here?
I think so, maybe.
It's where's his army? He's just chilling over here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's the king, and he's doing king things.
He's doing king things.
Which includes slaughtering people.
Yeah. Nice. But it is
kind of a bizarre setting, I guess.
Yeah. But I do appreciate how much this movie just goes for, this is what good is, this is what bad is. And it's just you can show it to kids and not have them wonder who are the villains and who are the heroes? This movie literally tells you.
Well, it doesn't tell you about the bad guy until a little bit later, though.
Well, I just mean, I don't think that you have any doubt that this king is bad. And then, the fact that this prince, when he comes up and he doesn't care about his dad at all. He's just I just want the crown.
Oh, you're right. Because
he's right here, he's he's oh, all right, you're dead. And immediately just lusting over this crown.
So in the original script idea, that one of the writers didn't like the way that the director took it. They had it where he wasn't as outright maniacally evil and crazy as he is in this movie. He's ambitious and he's self-centered. He's mean. He does evil things, but he's trying to be a great king, you know? And it's not until he realizes that has this piece of a dragon inside of him that he goes absolutely bonkers crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just like, because right there, like, I mean, this whole scene, I mean, they're setting everything up, but like, then he literally looks at his dad and says, "Die, it's mine." It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a subtle line. And,
All
just,
right, sir.
yeah. And then here,
You might need some therapy.
yeah. Oh, and then, I mean, the fact that it was an accident, I mean, she's a pretty girl, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like that it was an accident, because at this point, there's no reason for anybody to want to kill him. And it creates a connection with this lady that's used a little bit later.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think it's a bad, it's interesting that, again, I think you could understand when some people would be like, is this a satire at times, or is this meant to be taken very seriously at times? Like you said, kind of the Princess Bride versus Conan. It's not entirely sure which one it wants to be at any given time.
Yeah, I could see that. I'll be honest, I didn't even realize that this actor was the one from all those other things I mentioned, especially X-Files, until I was studying for this. And I'm like, what? No.
And then the wife is like, her reaction, like, "Oh, he's dead. All right, that's fine." She only reacts when her son comes in.
Well, yeah, because everybody knows that the king was a very evil man.
Yeah. You stay, Bowen. Everybody's got those like strong, like Einen, Bowen, like the kind of names that you can say with a lot of oomph to them.
Yeah, oomphy, very oomphy. Yeah, you see,
I did appreciate
lines like that,
Yeah, I did appreciate as they were writing up that this castle is like, it's mostly made out of wood. Like, it's not a big stone castle. You can tell this isn't some, it's like, it's a newer kingdom, I guess. This isn't some old established kingdom. Yeah. The stone buildings are in ruins, and these people live in the wooden castle. It's a little bit of environmental storytelling that I enjoy.
It is, and they use that a little bit later. In like one of his things is building the big palace. That's what he wants. He wants the big shiny new castle.
The way to make peasants love you is to make them, build you obnoxious things. I mean, the Egyptians really taught us that well, and then that lesson was duplicated throughout history many, many times.
So many times. What do you think of the oath?
I mean, it's cheesy, but I like it. What about you?
I don't know if knights actually ever took oaths like that. I think that's very Arthurian myth.
Oh yeah, no. I don't think that's realistic. But I mean, I like the idea. Again, I like this movie I would have no problem showing this to, my kids growing up, and them walking away with a correct lesson, and having some chuckles along the way. It's got some sugar to help, the virtue go down, so to speak.
Yeah.
This does look very much, though, like a soundstage.
Yeah. Kind of unavoidable sometimes.
It is. And here we get Sean Connery's voice for the first time. I think Dennis Quaid looks better here when he's meant to be younger. I mean, I know obviously they gotta, age him, but I feel like this is the age he actually was, and then they made him look older once we get through this sequence, I believe. I do love that they're like the old code that they're like, supposedly that this boy is different, yet the intro clearly showed that this boy is not that different from his dad. Like he doesn't see, like, everything that they showed you in the opening sequence shows you that this kid is actually not some amazing guy.
Yeah. But I think that that's also important for the movie. In that, like, the entire point here is that they're trying, that he's young enough that he can still be molded.
Yeah.
And that's what almost makes it Dennis Quaid's failure, almost.
Yeah.
This scene always stood out to me, even when I was younger. When I started to realize this feels so much of this movie feels like a 90s movie, but like the way that this is filmed and how it was just filming the mother's face and everything felt very like mid 80s. But not in a bad way, in like a nostalgic way.
Yeah. I can see that. This poor kid.
This is a weird looking kid, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like this scene right here, look at the way that the lighting is.
Oh yeah, this
and
looks
voices.
So what do you like?
Cold.
It is of an ancient glory. I just
Like,
want to
I
do Sean
love this,
Connery
okay.
impressions.
Right? I really like this because the PlayStation 2 graphics,
Oh yeah.
amazing. The lighting is just so flat and wrong.
It just you can
In
tell
newer
somebody.
movies, sorry, continue.
Oh, I was just saying, it really looks like somebody took a just a spotlight with a red filter and shown it right at him.
I like how when he pulled the sword out, it was like smoking like that, steaming.
It even has
because
like a
that's
mark
something
on it,
that they
right?
would. Yeah, that's something that they would totally make digital these days.
Yeah.
And I love that type of actual like practical effects. This movie has some pretty great digital effects in it, even for its time. I mean, especially for its time, but even for today, there's some stuff that's just like that's fantastic. They were able to do that at that time.
Well, they really had to try back then too. I mean, the post-production efforts would have been massive.
A year and a half long.
Yeah. Because who did the special effect? This wasn't ILM, was it?
I believe it was ILM actually.
So
I can't promise that, but they got at least some people who had worked on Jurassic Park.
No, it is.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
So it was a mixture, though. Yeah, the first like test was actually like a modified Tyrannosaur from Jurassic Park to kind of like prove
that
the
was
concept.
really funny. I watched it.
Yeah.
His gravelly voice, his forced gravelly voice.
This is Batman voice.
He was considered for Batman. Wow. Yeah, I just want to impersonate Sean Connery.
Yeah. Knight of the Old Code.
For years, I didn't realize that because there was a gap where I didn't see this movie for like 10 odd years, and it wasn't until I watched it. I think it was on TV while I was on vacation with my family, and it played, and I'm like, oh my god, Bowen is Dennis Quaid. Like I had no idea.
So right there, they establish, interesting he's referencing the Romans. So
I think so.
yeah, well, he sees the Romans built this fortress. I mean, that's supposed to be like Avalon, right? Not that's Avalon, but Avalon's in this, and Arthurian legend obviously is in this because there's the scene later where like Arthur gives him the code again, right? So I'm assuming this is supposed to be like England or France somewhere, maybe.
This is supposed to be England as of the year 984. It's mentioned at the beginning even that it's the year 984. Which this is one of those films where things are funky because there's so many fantasy and shows and movies and things where it'll be like, oh, it's this year, but then they'll be using technology from like 100 years, 200 years earlier and 200 years later. It'd be like making a movie that takes place in the late 1800s, but for some reason they've got 50 caliber sniper rifles and they have like wick-fed blunderbusses. Like, it's the same thing with this movie. The turn here is really fast, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I was just about to say. So this way he gets killed immediately, and then this. I mean, it is instant. And then the idea that he is just evil.
Yeah, and
although right here, I
useless.
do like this moment where it's just that. Oh man, it's where it goes from like cheesy and abrupt to like, this is a heart moment right here. Where just you get close in, pulls him down, and just Dennis Quaid, I will defend him as a good actor. And he hates this. The King is just
The actor doesn't. He likes it, but the character doesn't.
no, you know what I mean? Like no, the it's yeah, it's a mixture again because it's just it's strangely of its time, but it's just and then writing in and I don't even know how to phrase it. I wish they had developed this section a little bit more. I wish they had spent a little bit of time showing maybe the king, wafering back and forth, wavering with a V. But it's just they just wanted to get to this. You could tell they just like, oh, let's get to this. We can't be bothered. And I wish they had spent some time.
When you're going to do a time skip, okay, that essentially in a movie like this, it means that it's your prologue. Your prologue is everything before the time skip. And what they did in here was very risky. They had essentially 2 prologues, which is the battle and the dragon giving him his heart and his fall into madness after. And that's very difficult to do. So what they did is they made that second prologue really, really short.
Yeah, they did. You either could have made the movie just longer, or you could have you could have made his father evil without really showing it and made it more about the son. Although again, I know you need to have a big action scene to kind of open a film. Like that's very I love that he's writing here with his like bow like taut, which is just not how you would ride. Anyways, it's like people running full sprint, like with their gun out, finger on the trigger. I'm like, that's so nobody professional would ever do that.
The fact that they do have him riding with the bow like that and everything like that, and you can see that it straight up is Dennis Quaid. He put a lot of work into this movie. Yeah. He learned like a really interesting swordsmanship for it. He had training in both like classical English and more Eastern. I believe that they hired a Japanese swordsman to help train him because they wanted his style to be very different from everybody else's. He's a heck of a guy.
Oh yeah, I mean he's a hard worker, but like this whole scene, like it's like a weird. Like the music is a little more upbeat and kind of, almost silly, and his reaction. We get the the poet here, and everything. It's an interesting. Like there's a lot of joke. Like it's already setting a tone we just had this really intense turn of, Dragon, I'm going to spend the rest of my life hunting you down, and 12 years later, and then it's just kind of right away jokey and like silly all of a sudden, which is just an odd tonal shift when you're jumping ahead to this guy's, 12 years later, still hunting dragons.
Did you ever notice that he's carrying a tooth?
Yeah, it's his proof of death, right?
Yeah. So what do you think of the other actors that were considered for the role of Bowen? Do you think that they would have done any better?
Oh man, Jason guys, here you go, really fast. He's such a great, a great actor. I totally forgot he was like part of this.
Right. He's so weird.
It has expenses. I hate his hair so much.
Dude, it's not quite a mullet, but it's close.
He's just. Oh man.
He's like the sheriff of Nottingham almost.
He is. Well, it's odd to see him play just this goofy character. Because he's like a serious actor.
The first thing that I really noticed Jason Isaacson was in The Patriot, and he was so evil.
Oh, so evil. Yeah.
I not the biggest fan of Star Trek Discovery, but I loved him in Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, he was
so great.
Well, he was great in that. I mean, we were talking about this before we began recording. I have a soft spot for that hat. He's in Armageddon. He is one of like the scientists who's like, kind of tells all the other scientists they're idiots. He has that role. It's a common role in movies.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He is a minor role in Black Hawk Down, where he plays a really strict army captain. It's a great little
Yep.
little bit in that ensemble. I mean, he's had so many little character moments where when he's on screen, he demands your attention. And
Jason
yes,
Isaacs'
he was great in
personal
Discovery, by the
choice.
way.
My Jason Isaacs is my personal casting choice for the character of Alfred Pennyworth.
Oh, he'd be great at that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see,
They just mentioned that hat, by the way.
oh yeah, that's just that hat's amazing.
Only you could keep such a good brain under such an ugly hat.
Now, the king, what's this actor's name? I know he was in Harry Potter. Wasn't he also
David Thewlis.
Wasn't he also Ares in the Wonder Woman film?
He was.
That's right.
Really, really great choice for that role. I just wish that they had done a little bit better with the finale.
Yeah. That final video game ending.
Yeah. Here she is.
Yep. She's all grown up.
Beautiful. Way too much makeup for a medieval peasant. So other casting choices for the character of Bowen. They offered it to several other people who turned it down. Funny thing is that the producers, according to an interview with the director, the producers originally cast Liam Neeson, but the studio didn't think audiences would buy Liam Neeson as an action hero.
See, they couldn't see 15 years in the future.
To Taken. The director offered the role to a personal friend of his, Robin Williams.
For really?
Yes, but Robin Williams was more interested in the voice of Draco.
That really would be interesting.
However, they had already gotten Sean Connery, and they weren't losing Sean Connery. Sean Connery did his entire role in 2 days.
I believe it because he's just being Sean Connery. He just literally read the script in front of him.
This was actually one of the first times when it came to digitizing an actor, I should say, where they put a camera on Sean Connery's face the entire time he was recording his lines, and they used it for reference for when the dragon is speaking.
Aww.
I always hated that because he doesn't pull the bow far enough back for it to be that deadly. I mean, it is a very large bow, so maybe?
Yeah. I hate the way he shoots it, though. He shoots it like somebody who's doesn't know how to shoot a bow. Like, you can tell it's somebody who's not into archery the way he's shooting. He's shooting it like an actor would shoot a bow, having watched some video of somebody shooting a bow.
Maybe that's on purpose because he's the prissy princess.
But then he's perceived as being pretty accurate, you know?
That's true.
Oh, yeah. We got the music cue. She's going to do something about it.
Go, Princess Leia.
That is some dirty water.
Defend Alderaan. Avenge Alderaan.
I do like he's got the pike. I appreciate that. Hey, like his shield, too.
It's a kite shield. Kite shields were not introduced to England until, I want to say, the 1100s.
Well, and I'm guessing they also didn't have dragon teeth on them until, about then also.
That's true. There was apparently a moment in the script where the dragon was going to burn the shield because it was his hunting trophies.
Now so when you rewatch this and you know that's Drago right there, it's a good prop, and the transition is actually really good when they get the eye here.
Yeah.
But again, this is played just for laughs, you know?
Mm-hmm. And apparently they have that kind of chameleon-like ability, hearkening to real, actual animals.
He's under the waterfall. Except no, he's not.
Man, under the waterfall. Such a trope. You go into a video game and, there's a waterfall. Gotta go check behind it for some treasure. But when there's not treasure behind a waterfall, you're profoundly disappointed.
You are. So...
Like right there, that looks great.
Yeah. There's a nice yell there. Yeah.
You notice that it's a Roman helmet?
I did not notice that.
Mm. I mean,
He's like, sorry.
technically the Roman Empire was still going at this point. A lot of people, oh, it's the Byzantine Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. Byzantine Empire never existed. That's a term that we gave them hundreds of years after their existence. They were the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
But
I do appreciate the hearty smack he gave his horse there. And, I mean, he's a brave knight. You got to give him that. I kind of hate swords on the back. It's been a thing I've just never liked.
It looks good, but it's very impractical.
Yeah, but it's just you're oh man. Oh, it's funny.
You never see the dragon blow fire out of his mouth.
No, he blows it out of the one nostril when they have that funny campfire scene. And he roasts the, but never out of his mouth. Okay, I'll have to look for that because I do not remember this. But here, like, yeah, his
voice is so
voice
weird.
Yeah, he's like gargly now.
Yeah.
And the fact
I am
that
noticing this. Yeah. Go for it.
Well, I was gonna say, and Drago, just again, the tone is so odd here that they're bantering. Like, why would Drago be talking to him?
I think he knows who he is. Maybe. I don't know. And maybe it is also just that thing of the dragon doesn't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah. It is, like, sad when you find out that, like, the dragon he just killed was, like, his mate,
like,
right?
His last one. Yeah.
Now, that's quite a contraption.
This is weird, but cool.
It's cool, but, like, I don't know how this would work back then.
This feels very Witcher-esque. Like, this feels almost like if you were making a Witcher movie in the 90s.
But then it turns immediately into, like, a Monty Python sketch here.
Yeah, like kind of Princess Brady.
I mean, it's just it's just great spitting the leaves out. It's funny. I mean, I laughed at this as a kid all the time. His
I'm
yell
still laughing at it.
Yeah, his laugh great. Is so just like you can't. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's like yelling at it to slow down.
Visit the woods.
This goes on for quite a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I love that he got his sword back. He got that resheathed. You got that. I mean, this is still better than Shia LaBeouf with the monkeys in Crystal Skull.
Oh my god! Don't even. There's actually a lot more about that movie that I like than I realized, but I'll never get past Shia LaBeouf, and especially Shia LaBeouf with the monkeys.
Yeah, it's bad.
Can't do it.
We're earning our money now. Aren't we? I do like that. I actually.
You know what this always
like
reminded me of?
Oh, go ahead. I'd like the fact that Liam Neeson does not Liam Neeson. Never mind. Dennis Quaid does get a few moments,
Yeah.
But
he's not a moron.
Even the music there though, they had like the full band, dun, 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 when he crashed. It was just, it's very on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say?
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, it reminded me of a Daffy Duck cartoon.
A little bit.
Where he's Robin Hood, and he's trying to get Friar Tuck, who is Porky Pig, and he keeps trying to swing in. Yikes and away! And he jumps and swings, and he hits a tree. Yikes and away! Splat! Yikes and away! Splat! And there's a feel to it. But, like...
It's just, I'm like... I kind of keep wanting to watch this. Oh, that hurt.
Yeah. You can see how rehearsed he is in his movements, but like for the 90s, man, this was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And there was nothing else like it for years.
Yeah. Well, it really was.
They stopped making fantasy movies until Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Well, they had to have it, rehearsed because they had to really, like, back then, they couldn't just count on the post, team just fixing it all later. Like, they had to know, okay, so this is what's going to happen. You're going to move here. This thing had to have been storyboarded like crazy for the effects department to do their job right.
I am the last one. That feels like Stargate.
Yeah. That was actually a good mixture though of the CG fireball turning into an actual, practical explosion.
Yeah.
Even his outfit, now that you mention it, is a little bit Asian.
Yeah, it is very belty.
Yeah.
Like, did Rob Liefeld make this guy? But look how good the comp job is on that when he's walking in front of the dragon. There were no black lines.
Yeah.
Like, it was very clean, very hard to do.
There is the little bit of almost nasaliness that Sean Connery's got going on here.
Maybe
it's just with certain.
that might be just him.
Just with certain words. Oh my gosh! But again, like with the Monty Python,
See,
like
there's the
nut shot
comedy suddenly.
And then he opens his mouth really big, kind of almost like unhinges his jaw almost.
Yeah, because he's gonna eat him whole. He's sending him a message, but there's kind of the bonelessness of a classic CG character.
So okay, was there any practical prop that he was interacting with here? I feel like he was sitting on some kind of animatronic head.
I think he had to.
At least the tongue and some teeth, maybe.
Like the tongue.
Yeah, but you can tell some of those
right
wide
there,
shots.
Full CG.
Yeah, that's definitely a PlayStation 2 cutscene right there.
The lighting just isn't quite right.
I love that he falls asleep here.
I always hated his face right there. I thought this looks like there's a lot of practicality to it. That dripping is not CG.
No, he's in a real thing here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even here, there's jokes going. When he pulls this thing out, and I think recognizes the ring.
The implication. Yeah.
Egglamore.
Egglamore. If you really think about this is just the freaking worst. What are you licking there, Draco?
I mean, he's really just massaging his, yeah.
He might be having a real good time right now. I'm not going to judge.
I've never thought about it. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah. I always thought that there should have been more. I feel like there should have been more saliva there.
I feel like it should have been greener.
Yeah.
I wonder how Sean Connery filmed that. What did he look like doing that line?
I'll stab you before I'll nod off. We'll kill each other. Yeah, I wonder, was Sean Connery, did he have something in his mouth to record this just to kind of make it easier, or was he just trying to, kind of pretend?
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, maybe if they were directing it, it'd be pretend your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, you stubborn elk.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's stuck to the bottom of your mouth. You kind of have to talk almost tell me, son, Nike. Yeah,
I always, as a kid, like that, where he had to wipe out his mouth, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks practical right there.
Yeah, you can tell that that's a real
guessing they
prop.
Have some...
Yeah.
The next sword slinger. Yeah, these scenes at night look really good, but it's always. I feel like they actually made their job harder for themselves with the amount of shots that they did in the daytime, because it's so hard to get those really good shots in the middle of the day.
Well, it's
for CG. Even today.
Well, because getting the lighting right, it's. But you don't want to shoot the whole thing at night. They want it to be bright, and I do appreciate this. Just going in and read the eyebrow again. It's just the tonally. I appreciate it. I'm enjoying this. Please, anybody listen to this, I'm genuinely enjoying this. But there's also just plenty here to be okay.
Yeah. No, I'm the exact same way. I really love the amount of practical effects they have. I love this particular set of sequences anyway, because they're what do you call it? This is the entire basis of the story, which was a knight and a dragon, a dragon slayer and a dragon who get together to scam villages. And it's genius. Like, what a plot.
Why? Oh man, you get him. What a like big rats.
Big-
I mean, I do
and it-
appreciate that ultimately he's looking for the nobles to pay. He's not actually trying to like get money from the peasants.
Yeah, later in the movie, he does.
That's well, the whole maiden thing. I actually enjoy that too. It's a fun little subplot
Yeah. Wait, the what?
where he tries to convince him to like slay the maiden.
Oh, that's
It's
right. Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting too. I haven't watched this on like a good screen in a long time. I'm trying to remember. The last time I watched this, it would have been on DVD, probably on an old TV still, like an old CRT. I think this movie benefited also from that a little bit. I think watching it, with modern screens with an up-res doesn't do it favors.
I guess, but I don't know. I think this looks genuinely good.
This does, yeah. I think some of the close up, like the wider shots where Dennis Quaid is also CG, like that actually doesn't look bad right there coming out of the water.
Yeah.
Like they got the
Yeah,
wet.
yeah,
Really wet.
it's plasticky, but
Yeah.
hello.
Lion, dragons got to eat. That's a sexy
It's
hello.
almost like James Bond seductiveness,
Oh goodness. I still I wanted them to like have a like a little sheep. I guess that would have like scared the kids to actually see him eat a sheep.
Yeah.
This is where at this point I do kind of believe their chemistry.
Yes. Like, and it's hard to make that, Um, the most of the scenes they were just using a pole with two balls on it to approximate where his eyes were going to be, but they had they did do a thing where they would have somebody repeating the lines to him during filming, so that way he was actually interacting with somebody.
Yeah, but like I'm actually looking at a little bit less here. But like when he first was kind of walking next to him, the the animation, like the actual movement, was pretty good because he was kind of like having like bounced on like one foot with his wings, kind of he was moving in a way that like had some a little bit of weight to it. Like it's well done. I mean, here again, you can tell the texture isn't really deep. You can't he doesn't look like an old hide. I think that's one thing about like. I wish the dragon could look, like just his hide would look older, a little more like it's been alive, been alive for hundreds of years, type of thing,
Yeah. And just a suicidal dragon.
Hmm.
Do dragons have souls? This is Dragonheart, okay, not Dragon Soul. That was a horrible video game that I can never beat because I'm not good.
Is that like one of the Neversoft games you're talking about? Interesting the way that
Demon Souls.
Oh, okay. The way his wings fold in is always kind of odd there to me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like some mass
They were
actually
gonna
goes away.
They were gonna do more with the wings. They were gonna be like kind of translucent, but they didn't have time to finish it. The eyes were also going to be a lot more the pupils were going to be responsive, but they just didn't have time.
Yeah. So it's just some kind
Very
of like
raucous
version of like arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
I don't really understand what she just said, to be honest.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a well polished mirror there.
Yeah. Mirrors weren't a huge thing
No.
until right around this time. Very interesting the way that works.
He does have like I hate his hair so much. and
Yeah,
whoever they got to play him as a kid, like they match really well.
they're both
And
just really weird looking.
they do. He's got just a weird face. Like he's a legit good actor. And I've seen him in some things,
Hmm.
but in this movie, I always just thought he looked. I I never
He looked
had a
like he was sick in the soul.
yeah, but I mean, like I never believed. I never had trouble believing that he was evil, but he never once actually came across as genuinely threatening. If that makes sense to me, even as a kid, he always just seemed buffoonish.
I always thought that he seemed dangerous in the way that like a child with a gun is dangerous.
I guess so, but I guess in my mind as a kid, I was like, the dangerous people. I mean, kind of the OG was like Darth Vader or Khan for me, or um, you know, Jack Nicholson in the Joker, and
Mm.
he just seemed, like a cartoon character.
Yeah, definitely the spoiled child feel.
Yeah, and again, like nothing against the actor. He's a great actor. He's had many good performances, but
Hmm.
I mean, he definitely gets the creepy thing.
Yeah. So
Although
this
his
whole
his
part is,
outfit though is also does not do him any favors. But go ahead.
it looks like he's wearing a diaper almost.
Yeah.
But apparently they tried really hard to make some period accurate costuming in some places. Um, the darker tone of the original, this was actually a led into a rape scene. Not like a graphic one, but he was supposed to have raped her,
I mean,
which is a little dark.
yeah. I mean, if you take this time period and this situation, for what it is, that's not a stretch whatsoever that he would feel all the freedom to do that.
Hmm.
I mean,
And
honestly, but by
especially
by the
if,
laws of this era, it'd be his right too to do it. That's
yes and no, there are a lot of really made up rules about that. The whole prima nocta thing, for example, was made up in the 80s.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I just mean
that's all fake.
an absolute ruler like that would take a peasant woman without any, without any
Oh, yeah.
care.
Yes.
Okay, as somebody who has started fires with flint and steel, I kind of hate
Hmm.
how easily he was getting sparks by just rubbing on his sword. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
I they get to this conversation. So we've had the opening fight. We've had the first like them pulling their con, and then kind of the
First
walk
time.
afterwards,
Hmm.
and then now we kind of arrived at the crux of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Although one of the videos I watched about this was saying that you may have seen this too. That this dragon may have the most distinctive voice outside of Daffy Duck. The fact that like the knight does not recognize his voice is it's stretching belief a little bit.
I mean, it is also 12 years since that's happened.
Yeah, but it's like the most distinct memory. Like I mean, the memory of the whole thing would have like put him on his path.
Yeah.
This is he betrayed the heart. But like so that scene, like I will say the lip and the comp job here and the lip movement is actually really good. The animation of his mouth.
Yeah. I can't think of another earlier example of when they were doing something kind of animal-ish, talking this way in CG. And I wonder if it was almost the first of its kind.
I mean, outside of actual animation.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
here we
interesting.
have the implication that he feels the pain.
Well, and also kind of establishing the rules of the king. Really doesn't even like feel the damage. Drago takes the brunt. Like Drago's reaction is like fell over backwards and just his whole shoulder was glowing, and the king here is like basically not even phased by it.
Yeah. I never picked up on if he could just not feel it.
Well, definitely reduced. I don't know if
Yeah. Maybe
It'll
he
be,
liked
yeah. Oh gosh, this is creepy.
it. It really is.
Although, again, compared to Alan Rickman and Maid Marian at the end of Prince of Thieves, that's an intense scene.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in long enough. I don't really remember. I mostly think of the end of Robin Hood Men in Tights. Um,
Also, a very good movie.
Also American movie. We changed it from shithouse. Mm.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's a bad man.
Yep. It's interesting that cloak going CG there. That is a little rough behind Dennis there.
Yeah, yeah,
An old
a little
complaint.
flat.
Well, you can tell it's just painted on him. Like it doesn't look like it's a
Mhm.
separate piece of cloth.
No, it's just a texture patch.
Yeah.
Poor little dragon.
Aww. Okay. You're more into like just dragons and fantasies than I am. Just as a dragon
Yes,
design in general, not necessarily the CG itself, but just the proportions, the shape, all that. What do you think of Drago as a dragon?
absolutely magnificent. Um, this
There's
is
been
an
a lot of
actual
famous dragons.
dragon versus wyverns, which are dragon-like creatures that cannot speak, and um they only have two legs, and their wings edges, kind of like bats, are the claws. You'll see these in Reign of Fire. You'll see these in Game of Thrones. These are what people are often. Yes, dragons. No, dragons have four limbs. Okay, four limbs and wings. All right. So this is like the best dragon.
Okay. Is he? I always thought dragons were supposed to be a little bigger, and he's not huge, but is like size wise is he kind of appropriate compared to the average dude?
I think so.
Okay.
Dragons vary throughout literature. Something like Smaug, who had four limbs in the book and then only two in the movies. Um, this is a weird hill that I die on. I don't necessarily understand why, but for some reason I am unusually outraged by the fact that they always make dragons with like the whole bat wings, and I don't like it. I want them to have four limbs.
Hmm.
Um,
Is
but
is the
I
tail
think
accurate?
I don't know. There's never been a real dragon.
Well, I know, but like I mean, when I say accurate, like to
I like the tail. The
yeah.
tail, I think, is really good. It's not, you know, Draco here is spiny. He's got horns. You see them along the back and everything. There's a prickliness to his scales along the wings, but he's not like super. He's not a porcupine, right?
Yeah.
And I like that. And his tail isn't like this over dramatic ball of spikes. It
Yeah.
looks like a proper counterweight for something that would be flying, and something that could legitimately guide him flying.
Because okay, in history, you've got the European idea of dragons, right? Which you find on shields and standards and all kinds of crests. And then you've also
With four
got
limbs.
yeah, but then there's the dragon you see in a lot of Asian literature, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
is that one also is that one closer to what you're describing, like that a lot of people think of, or is it?
No. All of these dragons. The main difference that you'll find between dragons in Eastern versus Western is that dragons were a lot more like good or lucky. They were treated almost more like genie. That's very, very vague approximation, but it's the best I can really do at the moment. Almost more like genies in Eastern myth, where in Western myth they were much more like noble creatures, or villains.
Okay, because I know very little about actual dragon lore.
It's very wide and various, and the fact is, most of it's been made up by fantasy authors. It's just
So
the thing is, all dragons in history that go under the word dragon have had the design that I'm talking about,
okay,
with the four limbs and the wings and everything like
but
that.
you're
And
talking about
I
like
really,
in like modern like film and literature, because obviously if you go to the old standards and crests and stuff, they had four limbs and looked much closer to Drago here.
exactly. And I wish that they would keep to that, because it also offers an intelligence,
Yeah.
in my opinion, and that's lacking from the very animalistic dragons of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. What's that other freaking thing? Rain of Fire. That's one.
Yeah.
Rain of
I'm
Fire.
I actually kind of like that movie too.
Oh, I'm very fond of that movie, despite it being kind of terrible. I'm very fond of it, much like this movie. In
Now,
fact.
are these three actual, triplets they got for that little bit role? I wonder. They must have went and found some.
Yeah.
I do appreciate. I was born in this village. I, I do. This whole exchange. Oh, this made me chuckle as a kid a lot, and I still find it funny. Just get rid of her. But I never swallowed. I'm merely true in self-defense. So his wings are. You like his wings?
I do like his wings. They're a little small. Um, but they I don't know. They've got the right shape. They've got the right bearing. I like the sound effects for the flapping. I think that it really. I don't know. I think there's just a really good elegance and gravitas to his design, and it is my favorite dragon design. I think in movies in general. Though, even though the movie was terrible, Saphira in the Aragon movie had a really fantastic design.
Okay, I have not seen that one.
It's
I love it that one. She's totally like clean again. They're like already best friends, and he's like all smitten with
I
her.
kind of like it.
I mean, it's very amusing. It definitely goes with the tone this movie's had so far.
Yeah,
It does
and
like
here you
say
have that
though,
little
here's
bit of
like
dragon lore.
like dragons aren't violent, unless they've been provoked. It's like, well, obviously there's a history here. Like when dragons are provoked, they're pretty bad. Just the whole
He
behind her
just
back,
didn't
just it's
ignore you.
just silly and goofy, and I don't even know what to say. She's what is
Right?
she doing here? Looks like
Being
my little
threatening,
looks like my little sister with a toy.
right? Um, he's worried.
About me, a whacker. You just disappear.
He sounds like a freaking. He sounds like a worried husband.
He does, yeah. So okay, was the king out like hunting her?
I would assume so.
So I okay, it makes sense then. If that was her village where she grew up, he would know that, and he would go there looking for her. I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
Mm. It's not exactly a big kingdom.
No, his stirrups are weird.
I didn't even notice. I always hated this thing he's wearing.
It's just, man. Brock looks like he's having a bad day over there. He's like really,
He looks old.
he does. It's just
Not her decision, I'm afraid.
this. I hate his saddle too. Everything. It's all bad. It just looks
I mean,
I don't know, just so
it's very
soft.
clean.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. Like, there's something very, like I said, clean about it, which I think is the point. All the other peasants are like dirty. And then he's the one who gets to be clean physically, but like metaphorically not. I think it's a thing.
It's interesting they have him, kind of really start out as the aggressive one.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can see a little bit more of that. What you call it?
Well, he's
Uh,
yeah, the fact that he's switching between one-handed and two-handed, that he's up
mhm,
high, which you do not fight
mhm.
with a broadsword up high like that.
Mm, yeah, not like that anyway, but there
Well, I mean,
is
like,
a certain
yeah.
thing.
Well, his sword doesn't
Like,
have weight to it. The way that he's swinging it around
mhm.
one-handed so easily, you can tell this isn't a heavy broadsword.
Well, that's actually I'll actually fight you on that one, okay?
Yeah.
Swords are a lot lighter than you think,
Yeah.
especially swords that they actually had back then. Modern prop, like, oh, I'm going to buy this collectible, is actually heavier than the real sword would have been. Swords were very fast, very lightweight. Most of them were, like, we're talking 3, maybe 5 pounds.
Yeah. No, I remember
Um,
us talking about this
but
before, but it. Oh, that's a weird. Okay.
it's
Look
like
at
getting shot in the shoulder in a 90s
yeah,
movie. He's
but
stabbed in the shoulder now.
his sword is so. You see the edge of that thing? His sword,
Hmm.
it's all like chipped and ratty. It's like the king's sword.
Yeah.
It's not taking. I don't know. Again, in contrast to his saddle, his sword is not taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want somebody to comp in a cat right there.
That would be funny, wouldn't it? Um, I I like the prop design in this a lot. I think that it looks grubby, it looks gross. The swords look used. They look dangerous, but they don't look um overly perfect. Um,
His voice like
my mom
cracks
used to do that
there.
all the time. Well,
Everything
he's
under
in pain.
control.
Yeah, you see, that actually looks really good, but
Yeah.
the lighting is all wrong. His shadows are too soft.
Well, and lighting
Um,
is one of the hardest things to do, and it took a while to get there. I mean, that was
it
one of
still
the
takes a while.
yeah, but that is still one of the big things that just gets. And that's actually if you watch, I know you've seen a lot of Quarter Crew also. That
Mm,
lighting
mm.
is one of the things that people don't realize is wrong, but they can just tell it doesn't look right, and they don't realize that's what makes it look bad. So, yeah, I know. I just
Yeah.
it's um part of what made I think knights slow back in the day was the fact they also were wearing a lot of armor and clothing that made it hard to move quickly. But
Again, I think that that's a very modern misconception.
yeah.
Knights were not slow. Um, the biggest issue that they had was line of sight, was seeing, and lack of peripheral. Um, the way that most armor, like well-made armor, especially plate, was created, is that you could move very flexibly and very quickly in it. You'd smell awful afterward, and it would exhaust you faster than just a normal person. But people who are going around with like big shields and brigandine and lots of chainmail were carrying almost as much, if not more, weight than somebody in plate, because the plate was not very thick, but it could withstand so much. It was the major bludgeoning weapons like warhammers and maces that were adopted in order to fight that type of stuff. Sorry, there's a lot of weird misconceptions that we have about ancient battle and armor that I love getting into that kind of stuff.
All right.
Um,
Maybe I should study
I'm not an
more.
expert. Yeah, you should. It's really cool.
Okay.
There's a couple people on YouTube. There's one guy that I used to really like, but he's gotten weird. Shadiversity. He went strange, and then I read his book, and it wasn't good. I love that the bag is a pig head.
Yeah. Well, I love that, and I also love
Mm-hmm.
that they're all like obsessed with like meat and apparently starving, yet they're surrounded by by meat.
My pigs. Wandering idiot.
So okay,
Like, they had like a tender moment where it's like
yeah,
almost
like
kind of
well, you
romantic,
well,
and then it switches to this.
yeah, that's it. It comes out of nowhere because it they make it seem like she's kind of with them now, like she likes Drago, and they have that moment. Like, why is she running in like potentially getting him killed here? It doesn't
I don't
it
know.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Almost two dragons.
Almost. Dude. Yes.
Oh man, this guy is.
Honestly, I forgot that he was even in here until he just popped back up.
Well, I wish they had
Yeah.
kept him more in the middle because he's a fun comedic relief. He's a great actor. I mean, he's done some amazing work. This isn't one of them, but he's a great actor.
What? He passed away? He's great in this.
No, he's funny, but I don't know. I wish that he
Hmm.
I just wish that he had more, I guess, and that it wasn't played so silly.
I could see that. I don't know. It lends to the kids movie vibe. Oh, I just love how he just like grabs it and
The
falls.
shallow
and
water,
sticks it under his arm.
and like right there, like that's a full on that's a Monty Python right there. Although again, they get the wet pretty good on the texture.
Yeah. Sink. It's such a great
and
premise.
I think it's about the same size. Again, his accent is all over the place here.
Yeah, it really is.
Man, I would imagine
I mean-
dragon meat would not taste very good.
Oh no, dude. I'm the
You think so?
opposite.
You think so?
Think about like snake is pretty good. Lizard, it's alligator is actually really good. So I bet that I don't know. I imagine that dragon would be like alligator steak.
Hmm.
You know, very dense though. Probably very gamey. Like I love the idea that he's stuck in the mud and he can't move very well.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, this is well. And again, I think the comp job here is actually really good. I like the
Yeah.
fact that they actually used the crowd to kind of keep it hidden. I'm sure it helped the animators, although they had to probably rotoscope all those guys. Oh my gosh!
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh!
The swamp people. You're the three of them,
And they're the cannibals.
right? You know what's really funny? Is it this one of those guys that I've seen in like 2 or 3 scenes now that I recognize from other similar things as just like a guy who is always a gross peasant person or like a redneck.
It's all the fish. Oh goodness.
I also love how I love how on location all of it is. This, you know, they could have made this on a soundstage, but they didn't. They built the actual village. Like I said earlier, they filmed in Slovakia. And actually, Dennis Quaid, it was so boring around where they were that he would just fly to London, like a 3-hour flight over to London, and hang out with his wife, who was filming a movie.
I appreciate that they got the ground imprint, like they actually got where he landed there.
Yeah.
See, that's actually a decent shot.
Yeah, you see, I love this scene right here. I remember this one and similar. Like the flapping
horse.
of his wings is really good. There's a weight to it. It would never be able to support his frame, of course.
No.
But yeah, I like
So
it.
here we got the introduction of Avalon. I mean, they all of a sudden this really turns into an Arthurian legend movie more than it has been.
Mm-hmm. Resting place of King Arthur himself. Yeah, this was a really strange thing. A strange turn, where she's like, "Oh, we're just suddenly retreating to Avalon."
One of the things that I watched just immediately had to point out the phallic nature of this circle, all the posts.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my god!
it was
I need to see it again.
now it's in my head. Like, all right, I don't know if they'll do an overhead shot, but it's just like, okay, no man.
A divine omen.
We were carried here by a dragon.
Like, where did this whole try to raise your army thing come up? Like, this rebellion thing has been mentioned a few times, but his being intermixed with it is very sudden. I feel
Well,
like there's a
it's-
scene missing of them trying to recruit him to be their general.
Well, it's quite literally not really been mentioned. I mean, like she's, they kind of had the, she's resisting, and yeah, see right there, and some.
Oh, yep. Okay. I
Yep.
mean, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but I could see it, like, if it was modern TikTok, they'd be like, oh,
There you
Look
go.
at the nice little penis ring.
But yeah, it's they just shift the plot. I think it's, and I'm not sure why they felt the need to make it bigger than just, him realizing that the only way to correct his mistake is not to blame the dragon, but actually to go take the king. Like a kept it more. I mean, obviously it stays personal. You have the showdown with them, and it's there, but the whole the peasant revolt was kind of, it just got forgotten about for the entire middle of the film, and now it's back.
Yeah. Cost me all my soul.
Got some exposition here, got to explain how it all works.
Yeah, the dragon lore is very, very basic, but it's easy to follow,
Oh, yeah. I was so naive.
So naive.
I do. I was about to say, I wish that they had maybe filled in a little bit of his backstory, but Bowen's, but they didn't need to. Just him saying that it always mattered to him is plenty. And
yeah, she looks like a Barbie almost. Like, not a Barbie. That's the wrong thing. Her hair looks so perfect. Or like so perfectly red. She doesn't look dirty like everybody else, except in that one scene.
I'm gonna go sit in the rain and sulk.
Dude, this is part of the classic hero's journey.
I mean, just literally out of nowhere. It's just like, nope, the ghosts are talking to me.
I actually really liked this scene as a kid. I don't know why, but even today, like, I don't know. I love the rain. I love the round table, right? This is supposed to be the round table. And each of the pillars representing one of the knights. And he's like looking around, he's confused. I'm not a big fan of dream sequences. I'm not a big fan of surrealism. But I like this. This feels like such a perfect little story thing, like I'm reading a Narnia book or Pilgrim's Progress or something like that. It's right.
This movie is very solidly a fantasy film. It's not supposed to be like a historical drama. And then, so something like this just works. If you think about this, and that's where I think there are times where this movie tries to feel like it's some kind of historical fiction instead of, a fantasy epic. And when it seems more like a historical, drama, then this seems out of place. But if you just go with this as a big fantasy film, a kind of a high fantasy film, then it works just fine.
Yeah.
His wrath.
I also liked that. His wrath undoes the wicked, because this is supposed to be the just man, the righteous knight, and I always thought it important to really present to children who are watching this type of movie that good people will have wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Good men will have anger. We often talk about positive versus negative emotions. I don't really believe that as a philosophy. And I like that you have these things that will accept that there will be people who will get angry. They will have wrath at injustice. And I love that.
Yeah, it's much, much more about how it's applied and how you let it be exerted that makes it good or bad. It's a good shot.
She can hit her with what is that shovel? What does it do?
It's
look at that.
It's completely flat almost. Maybe a tiny bit of a scoop.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, there's a little bit of
accent,
a metal spade to the front.
Yeah, his accent still keeps changing. Although, okay, so this, I mean, this was the trailer shot, right? This was. It's
yeah.
The sky is a little bit too diffused, but it is a good shot. I mean, the silhouette they get is genuinely great.
Yeah, it's the thing. Even though they did nothing to imply that it was morning or evening in the previous shot. Yeah.
Like I said, and
this
that sun was.
They were using.
Go ahead.
They were using some actual, like, not perfect, but better than most historical renditions of how, like, bow making and fletching works.
This I always enjoyed. the,
This is
the head and then oh, you're a natural. And she's just like just hacking
she's
away
so
at this
clumsy.
piece of wood.
She was literally cast because they were trying to find a woman who was attractive, who looked like she could fit the setting, but also looked like she would be a natural swinging an axe in anger. It was literally one of the things that they talked about, what they were looking for.
How do you respond when when that's ooh when somebody says you look like you'd be a natural swinging an axe? Thank you.
Right?
Oh goodness.
Oh man.
So how much time is supposed to have gone by here? You know?
I don't know. Like,
because it takes a minute
months?
to like to even peasants, you know, to get them
battle ready.
Yeah, battle ready. It takes, you know, more than a day.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You don't need more than a day.
I feel like Drago could have like just flown out and just taken care of this really fast and stopped him from going back and warning everybody.
Maybe he didn't notice.
Wait, no, I thought that was the whole like him. I always took him roaring there as seeing him.
No, I don't know. I never thought about it that way. But well, okay, one thing I have to mention: Drago or Draco?
I thought it was Drago.
I thought it was Draco, like Draco Malfoy, like a C.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know it is a C. It's Drake, Draco, in like Wikipedia and stuff like that.
He's like when he goes down, like you understand, and he's like, yes, I understand. You know, just
smashing his face into the thing. I always hated this lady's like hat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, these guys.
Yeah.
They like.
I forgot about these guys.
They like mean nothing. Like it's just. They just look like cosplayers. They just really look like.
They do.
They're just on their way to Comic-Con.
Like,
a little bit of LARPing.
That's a D&D band that's going to go have a LARP day.
Yeah, it really is. I
think the Dragon Slayers are just supposed to add this air of, what do you call it? Like, threat. But also the mom hiring the Dragon Slayers. Oh, wait, it would make sense. She wants to kill the son.
Yep. Killing the dragon gets rid of her son. Her big mistake.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
the
trying to match the lighting to the background.
Well, and trying to have him interact with grass realistically, like that's one thing that if you notice, there's just like no movement anywhere. I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, like that is hard to do. So I no shame on that. But again, in high def, it's a little more obvious.
Early days, you know.
Yeah,
it's like they chose the hardest things to do for this movie. Let's have it interact with grass. Let's have it in all these different times of day. Like it's roughy toughy time.
Yeah. But again, I mean, you have to appreciate the ambition. Okay, I hate gold mail.
Look at Jason Isaac's armor. Okay? Look at this thing. It's like it's made out of medieval Lego. Nice little dragon shield, you know. Very pretty. Look at this thing.
What the heck is that?
I know.
I don't think I've ever. I don't have any memory of noticing that. Okay, his shield looks like it's made out of the thinnest wood.
Yeah.
It's
like some of the armor choices are so strange in this thing, but at the same time, the guys in the background with the with those helmets and like the neck guards and the ring mail actually look really good.
Yeah. Boom.
Good little practical effects. A couple guys got lit on fire there.
Yeah. Well, these guys just seem so, I don't know, just like comic relief in the
Exciting.
middle of this fight.
I I always liked like I always liked that. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah,
This guy's helmet always bothered me. I'm like, the heck, dude. Looks so ugly.
it's just like
Um,
well, and also too here like what was he aiming at? Well, what's funny
the
is
dragon.
that I mean he was aiming at the dragon, but he like they show him hitting the release on those things. I mean, a good 10 seconds after the dragon has already flown by. Like
He's an experienced dragon slayer, man. He's like
does not work.
in on it.
Okay, bear to the right.
No, I'm just totally
Yeah, it's bad.
making shit up. This is like the smallest little battle ever, but at the same time, it's probably one of the more
Well,
realistic in terms of numbers for peasant revolts.
I love that the king was like, "Yeah." He like nods his head like, "We're gonna get you."
Let's do it. Little egghead.
Yeah, but I mean, this would be like a nobleman, like not like a king of a nation, but like a nobleman, with the neighbors out to put down the peasants. Basically, that's like the size we got here, right?
Yeah.
With his noble neighbors and
This is
they've
a
each got a
duke in
couple
his
dozen.
house guard.
Yeah.
Do they have like traps or something? I can't remember. Do they home alone this thing?
Yeah. This is all like planned. I forget all the details,
Yeah.
but I know that this was all very much on purpose.
I got really distracted because I smell something weird, and I think one of my cats pooped somewhere strange, and I'm just having a weird time watching this movie.
Okay. You got cats on the brain because see his chainmail has a pattern in it. It's like got diamonds. This guy's got the coolest job.
You see, I don't mind that. It's just like, okay, your job, you got a Tarzan swing down with a torch and trap them, light them on fire.
I like it.
But one of the things about shields that you have to consider is that they didn't need to be really big, thick, heavy wood.
No. I know,
like,
but
you're going up against.
Yeah, it was more about deflection. But like, there's some shots where that is like less than a quarter of an inch. Like they literally couldn't mill wood that thin, that flat back then.
Really? You think less than a quarter of an inch?
There was some shots where it was like maybe not quarter, maybe 3/8. 3/8 plywood.
Yeah.
I work with 3/8 plywood on a pretty regular basis, and that's about what that looks like. I do enjoy this. The archer's up, just like
Robin Hooding it down there. He's just like, he's so scared.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a priest. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Scato die.
Is he talking to his people or the peasants?
I'm not sure. I think there's a little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting that the traditional kind of white knight, black knight thing is switched for this. The king is all white and gold. Then the hero is all like black and scraggly. Which they did a lot around this time, of course, but there was always something to the bad guy was usually some sort of like dressed in black.
Yeah, I never even noticed that.
Similar, and this one very much reverses that. But like, look at this chick. Like that's what I'm talking about. That's the scene I was thinking of. Like, this is a kids movie, and we just had her straight up murk that guy in the spine with an axe.
But if you watch that,
cut.
Yeah, it didn't cut. Well, she hit it with the flat of the axe. If you look at it, it literally she hit him with the flat.
Close enough, and they have the sound effect that make it look like the blade hit. Yeah,
I do love that this guy keeps finding ways to not like kill. Turn the other cheek, brother. So okay,
here's a pet peeve of mine: reverse-handled swords. Doesn't work. I'll give it to like Star Killer in Force Unleashed, but that's about it.
Okay. I was just thinking, as he's like, shooting and quoting that you thought of Saving Private Ryan, the sniper Barry Pepper, quoting scripture while he's sniping Nazis.
Yeah. Just don't look into that actor. He's not a good guy.
No, he's a good actor, but yeah.
He's a very bad man.
Yeah.
Brother Yomit. Like,
Shout.
Oh, did you see in the back the guy walking around with the arrow in his butt?
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still. Ooh.
Yeah. Whee!
Of course, yeah. It goes right over the castle when that happens.
Yeah. Like things suddenly get real bad and you realize it right then. And it's a bit abrupt, but I don't know. I dig it.
Yeah, the fact here that like he barely like he's like, oh, I'm fine, I guess.
Did he ever just stub his toe in the middle of the night and the dragon's just like, oh shit?
Oh. Well, the fact
Maybe
that he
he
kind of realizes that the guy's still with his, still with the arrow in his butt. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
He's like whipping his horse with the arrow. He's still got the arrow.
Yeah. Oh, that's the arrow.
Yeah,
I'm just
he
like,
still has
where
the
did
arrow.
he suddenly get the not cattle prod? What's that thing called? The
horse frog. Not
the dominatrix thing.
It's an F word, right? It's flail.
I don't know.
No, not flail. I don't know.
Flogger? No, not flogger. What is that thing called? Like
Crop.
the little whippy thing.
It's a crop. Right,
Riding crop.
Riding crop. That took way too long. Oh.
It's way too long.
I love the detail here of his broken horn. That obviously is like a practical part right there. All this they built for that.
Yeah, and he didn't have a broken one before.
Yeah, must have been one of his hard landing.
Yeah, it's a bummer. He's just like, guys, come on.
We're like a team, guys.
They were supposed to have like a big romance thing, and most of it got cut from the script.
I'm glad. It didn't need it.
I like a little flirting.
She's like half his age.
I guess I was. I always hated this guy's helmet and was just like, yes, let him die.
Let them die.
Aislinn is like a really good Celtic name. Do you think those things were like practical or comfortable?
I love that he's got like. I was looking at the chain around his horns. He's got
yeah. I'm like, did he just have those laying around?
Just like and like sized correctly, just like all right.
I mean, dragon slayers, maybe they had special dragon chains.
Yeah, dragon chains. Some of the chains are CG, obviously, here. I guess that's all CG, the shot right here. There's probably a plate behind him.
Be.
Now, the actress who plays the mom here, she's like somewhat famous, right?
Yeah, in fact, they brought her out of retirement for this. She had worked on something, or not retirement, but she had taken a break from movies. She'd worked on a play or a movie or something with David Thewlis, and he recommended her. Also, Kenneth Branagh was attached to direct at one point. And
wow. I'm just trying to imagine a version of this film with Kenneth Branagh. That would have been, I want to see that.
Yeah. Oh, there's like 4 different versions of this movie that I would love to see. Who was it? But yeah, this is Julie Christie, by the way. And she was at one point described by, I can't remember who it was, somebody with some weight, described her as the most poetic actress in Hollywood. She was really big in the 60s and 70s, did lots of stuff. Nothing that I'm particularly familiar with. The most I know is like Dr. Zhivago. She was the female lead in that.
This is very
Al Pacino
Shakespearean.
Described her as the most poetic of all actresses.
Okay. This is a very, very Shakespearean way to kill your mom.
Yeah.
Killed your mom.
And that roar. I've heard that roar in so many stinking things. We're a team. See, you got Dragon Boy.
He's got, I'm just going to call him Eye Patch Guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mentioning that is a smooth, hidden piece of stone right there. They can't keep that sucker lubed up.
Hidden pieces of stone. I mean, it's a new castle. Like, why does he want to marry is it just because she's like the only attractive woman in the land.
Yep. Now, I do like the fact that, like, right here, he's kind of fighting differently. You can tell there's just like because he's no longer like afraid.
Yeah, he's realized that there's an amount of immortality.
Got the good kickflip though, I mean, he's been working on that
Got a
one.
little good kickflip. Woohoo! I love the idea of this big stone trap door being like a potential hazard to him. Like, I'm gonna use this big stone door to crush you.
Ooh, little
Crunchy.
little celery.
This way. This way.
You go this
that
way.
This way. I'll go that way.
No, he's
Like,
fine.
is he doing?
I got to do the fancy roll. Now, I do like the lighting down here, like this whole thing, the caves and the water reflection, and like this is actually one of the more well lit sequences of this movie.
Water reflection-y things and catacombs and underground tunnels is this weird favorite of mine.
Yeah.
He's still in his weird spiky, crunchy, Lego-y thing. He's so just not Jason Isaacs to me. Goodness gracious.
No, it's really. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Her whittle axe. I want you to get me out. He just wants to leave. He's just a coward.
Yeah. Okay, that's what happened to him. I didn't remember him dying.
Yep. Eye patch guy gets him.
Good job, eye patch guy.
It's funny is that his name is Hugh, but I always thought it was like you. Like I remember as a kid, I didn't think that she like knew him. I thought it was like just like you, like didn't even know his name. It's like no, his name is Hugh.
No, it's
Hugh.
Hugh. But it's not even HUGH.
It's HEWE. Hugh.
Yeah, like
that's the subtitles at least showed it right there.
Yeah, I'm like you, like a baby sheep.
This is a big old axe.
Double-headed axe. I must ask you a question.
Oh,
I always remember that one. I was just like, that hurt,
Yeah.
I could always feel that one.
Big ol' axe blade to the gut.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good. I actually love the reaction here. Because, man, a guy like him that be so proud of himself all the time, that would be just the worst way to go.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no blood of any kind on this thing.
Blood means ratings.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Can't have those.
He almost falls down. He broke his sword. This is rude.
How did they go from the very bottom to the very top?
Yeah, that was a ooh.
That was a solid little.
I kind of want to just like watch this now. So like,
yeah, it's
sorry,
better than I remember.
Yeah, I'm immortal.
I completely forgot that his main thing in this wasn't just like power, but was actually like a form of immortality. Yeah. For some reason, that just kind of like left my memory. It's like, oh yeah, he's going for being immortal.
Ooh.
And here we need a little extra proof of his immortality. That axe is used a lot, isn't it?
It really is. I remember this, yeah, because he lets this go, right? And it like he like hits the guy on the head. A bag of rocks or a basket of rocks.
Yeah. Dude, you're kind of comic reliefy, aren't they?
They just, it's such a weird mixture of tone because it is just.
This is the big dramatic ending,
Yeah. I feel like have we had a Wilhelm scream yet?
No, we haven't had a Wilhelm scream.
This movie really needed a Wilhelm scream.
It does need a Wilhelm scream.
Because here he lifts these off, his horns. Yeah. Although again, the comp work here is very good.
Yeah. Like, I want to know why.
Again, his accent changed here. Now he's like back to like gravelly voice.
Yeah.
We've won.
The destroyed always stood out to me. Heinen is destroyed.
To your vow, knight.
Like, come on. I mean, you couldn't have talked about this earlier. I mean, genuinely, if this is what you wanted to do, Mr. Suicidal, I would like to die, dragon. Like, and this is the thing. Couldn't you just sit there at the camp and, oh, you want to take care of Einen? Give me that crossbow.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those that, for the sake of plot, tension and drama, yeah, you wait until the most inconvenient time to reveal this twist.
Dun dun dun. Sure. Like, it's a great scene.
It is, yeah. So, I mean, do you approve of the fire mostly being out of the nostrils, not the mouth?
Yeah, I dig that. I think that out of the mouth would be a really difficult a visual effect. And I think that it looks really strange in the majority of other
okay,
in the majority of other things.
It is interesting that right there, like, he was able to affect him by wrenching his own wrist or something.
Yeah.
I did always like this, the slow-mo with the heartbeat sound in the background as this happens and just lifting up the scale. I did like this.
90s slow-mo's hard to get right.
Yeah.
And this is one where I think that they did. Just
that, yeah.
It is a throw. And you can really sense, like, the anger, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's not just angry at, like, ah! He just had to kill his friend, you know?
Yeah.
He's not having a good time.
And then ultimately this was, he feels responsible for this mistake at the very beginning, you know, for not doing a better job with Einen.
Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, killing this noble creature and just kind of being part of their extinction is probably going to weigh heavy on him. In one of the really terrible sequels, the second one, they actually have an older version of him, obviously not played by Dennis Quaid, who, like, goes back to Draco's lair and finds a dragon egg. And that begins the plot of the sequel, is the dragon egg. And then the others are all prequels.
So are we going to do these movies, or are we just going to call this good here with Dragonheart?
I mean, we can if you really want.
It's when we start getting really desperate for films to watch in the future. We got
no, what we do is we do like Lord of the Rings. We do, like, the best fantasy movies ever made, and then we do the Dragonheart sequels, and then we do the Scorpion King.
Oh, goodness.
I do kind of like.
It's a little sappy, but I also like it. Yeah, I like the little bit of, you know, the little narration here. You know, just kind of that he touched
little Obi-Wan Kenobi used the Force though.
I mean, I think that this is kind of like with the Arthur scene. If you just go with the fact that this is supposed to be fantasy, not historical fiction, then it works. Mm-hmm. And again, I am a sucker for this theme, so I'll go with it.
Yeah. You were talking about how it was really overused, because it was used in, like, I want to say the trailer for Mulan.
Oh, it was used in so many trailers. I mean, I remember, this is a weird reference, but, like, so my mom was a huge film buff, and we used to watch the Oscars every year, you know, like, on the broad, you know, like, it was a big deal. And after this movie came out, this theme was used in the Oscars during presenting for, like, several years in a row. It was like one of the most used themes during that telecast.
I think I read something about how the composer got more money licensing that than he did for the actual film.
I believe it. Now, is he related to Danny Elfman? Because it's Randy Elfman.
I don't know.
I like the effect in the eyes is cool.
Yeah. It is a really good effect. That is really good music, I mean. Yeah.
It's just like this goes on for a while. I mean, this really is just like almost like overture level. It just look at that! I'm inspired. I'm gonna tell my children. We're just gonna keep staring for a while.
We were born on Crispin's Day. Oh wait, what?
A little bit. Man, I
Yeah.
really want to see the Kenneth Branagh version of this now, especially since we just watched Thor recently.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, see,
okay,
Bowen and Carr led the people. Like they just were like, all right, let's go for it. Oh, it's Randy Eldman.
oh, Eldman,
Or
not Elfman.
yeah, not Elfman, but this was the guy who did Last of the Mohicans.
Oh,
Which is just
that is a good
mwah.
soundtrack. Oh, it's a good. I mean, amazing film, but great soundtrack too. We're strangely Irish for the French Indian War.
Yeah.
So
Conductor for The Mask. Anaconda. Great classic there. We should do Anaconda. Please, Brian. Anaconda.
Amazon wants me to watch Dances with Wolves after this. Like, wait,
Yeah, that came up on mine too.
I like that
I
movie,
mean, come
but
on.
just
Kevin Costner and that guy we just watched.
it's just an odd suggestion after this. Like, oh, it's like
It really is.
Okay, so do you think with the right creative
Usually.
team, you could make remake this movie and keep some touchstone of the original tone, but still make it work for current moviegoers?
I was actually going to say that I think that this movie could, if very carefully done, be successfully remade today.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I was going to end off here. I think that it could be done. I think that you would need to be kind of careful with it. I think you would need to look at a lot of the current trends in fantasy. For example, look at the Rings of Power show. Look at the Wheel of Time TV show. What are they doing? Other things. It's people interacting with big fantasy creatures and stuff. And how are they making those things move? Move is the wrong word. How are they making those things interact in a way that's good and working? What's working, what's not in the modern period? So I think that they could make one that would actually be pretty decent. And hear me out on this, okay? Jack Quaid as Einan.
I would love that, actually.
Just I think that'd be
Just as
hilarious.
a fun little. So who would you get to play Bowen though?
Oh, Chris Pratt. No, I don't actually think Chris Pratt would be very good. But maybe Chris Pine.
Actually, especially
Or
after Dungeon.
no, I got it. Richard Madden. Game of Thrones and the Eternals.
Oh. Yeah. No, he would totally be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for some reason, I thought I was thinking.
Yeah,
you said that name, and my mind thought of James Marsden for some reason, and I'm like, no, that's not who you're talking about.
No. Because I feel like people go oh, maybe Kit Harington or something like that, but he's too mopey. I think that somebody with a really noble bearing, because Richard Madden.
Oh yeah, that's why he was so good as Rob.
I've said this multiple times on this podcast, and eventually we might get to it. But I'll actually defend the Eternals, and one of the main reasons why is because I think that him in that movie, he's fantastic. He is he is one of the best antagonists the MCU has ever had, and that's completely overlooked by the rest of that movie's faults. And yeah, so Richard Madden for that part. Maybe go a little Steve Buscemi's too old at this point for the priest. But maybe. Oh, sorry. What were we gonna say?
No, I was trying to think of somebody too. No, I mean having Jack Quaid play him would be Iden would be great. Yeah, it's the priest. I don't know. I feel like you could almost get an unknown for that role if you wanted to, or just like a really good character actor. Just somebody who just delivers. I mean, I think that you definitely could remake this, and you could make it in a way that was kind of fun and updated. Because you'd want to find a way to have it be. This is overused as a genre, but I mean, kind of the dramedy. Just use humor well and sparingly, but still have it in there. Like, yeah, I think this movie would be a failure if you tried to make it too serious. But at the same time, if you made it too goofy, you kind of lose it. You could just go for the like total cliche, and you just get Cumberbatch to do Dragon's voice. Just
Okay,
be
how about this though? Imagine this. Imagine if you just changed a little bit of the story, and that you made it so that that Bowen isn't like a local. What if you used like a black actor or even an Asian actor, since they wanted the more Eastern influence on it on his sword style when they were making this. You get the diversity that people want, but it also adds in a little bit of an extra thing, and you have it so that he is kind of like maybe he traveled to England because he heard the tales of like Arthur and his knights, and he kind of loved that lore of like the oath, the knight is sworn to valor, and that's kind of what he wanted to be, but he lost his faith because of Einan.
yeah.
And he kind of finds it again by going to Avalon and having that come to Jesus moment, that come to Arthur moment, where he kind of regains that, and he'd be able to make that a little bit more smooth, make it, maybe even create an actual love interest relationship between him and Kara, as cheesy as that could be.
Yeah. I think having somebody, from out of town, so to speak. I mean, somebody that also would
Much like
present.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. But yeah, somebody who has a fighting style that is genuinely kind of unique and, just the kind of a contrasting culture. And yeah, there definitely is some room to have some fun with that. And I think that you could. Go ahead.
No, I
Yeah.
was thinking to myself.
No, I think that this is definitely a movie that, I as a rule, I do not like remakes. I think you should just kind of leave things, but there's examples of them done well, where you can like, let's try again. But this movie occupies a strange place where there's plenty of improvements you could make, but it also was very fun and of its time, and enjoyable. Like, I would never call this a bad film. It's fun, and it's I mean, it's very 90s, and I mean that both in a good and a bad way, because I mean, I love the 90s movies, but there's also some stuff in the 90s that was just like, all right, you go with it because it's what you remembered from that time. But I do think they could find a tonal balance that would be still funny and have those moments, yet not go quite into the slapsticky area. Like, I do think that like the whole him going through the forest thing, like, find another way to make that fight, keep an edge to it while still having some funny moments, but without going fully into that. And the same thing with the pig people and kind of that humor. Just you can find a way to balance the humor a little bit better, but at the same time, keep it. I would never want to see a version of this film that just goes super serious. It just plays it totally straight. And I almost think,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and I think that I actually think they would lean. It would be better in my mind if they leaned a little bit heavier into the fantasy of kind of that this is a world where magic used to exist, and where it's a world that has a memory of a time where magic was more common and dragons were more common, and just where it's kind of a there's this deep memory in the ground, so to speak, of just the way things used to be. But it's people, it's just been long enough that most people have trouble even still believing it.
Yeah. Also, Idris Elba as the voice of the dragon.
Ooh, that would be good.
And maybe like Matt Berry as the priest.
Okay.
You know Matt Berry?
I feel like I what's he been in?
I think you'd remember him most recently from Fallout. He was the voice of the helper robots in the TV show.
Okay.
Maybe even in Fallout 4,
Yes.
now that I'm thinking about it.
No,
he's got that voice.
And
he's the one who talks like this. Mr. Deadly.
Isn't he at the party in like the flashback? Or am I thinking of something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's Mr. Handy. He's Snip Snip, and I believe the character's name was Sebastian.
Yeah. No,
He's mainly known for like What We Do in the Shadows and the IT Crowd. Oh, he was Douglas Reinhold.
That would be fun. See, and I think that you should keep him in more of the film. I think the fact that he vanishes for like the middle half an hour of the film, it was a kind of a missed opportunity. I think kind of keeping him with the group, because he's, and not overdoing it, but I think that they could have had a little bit more of him in, and a little bit of written. I think like Peter, and I can't pronounce his last name. He's a fantastic actor.
I always thought it was Postlethwaite, but I guess that's the wrong thing.
Yeah, I don't even want to try. I embarrass myself. But I mean, he's a great actor, and I think that if they had, I like where they got him towards the end, like the whole "you're a natural with a bow," and kind of him, but still try not to kill, and I like what they end up going. It's a weird introduction, and it's a little too over the top at the beginning, and the tonal shift, like with the idea that he's truly like a man of conviction about being a priest and about not being violent. I wish, I don't know, I feel like they had just, if they had focused on a character thread and kind of really made it through the whole thing, instead of just having me this goofy poet, and then all of a sudden he's like this man of conviction who happens to be an amazing shot at the end. It was just kind of an odd, like, it almost felt like two characters, and you could make them one, but I think you could make it a little more cohesive.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
But
this is one of those things where I think that it would really benefit from a remake, and I don't say that lightly, but it would have to be done with like tender, loving care.
Yeah.
You need somebody who loved the original and wants to update it, and maybe make it just a smidge darker, in the way that it would be a smidge more tonally consistent, and have a little bit more of the tragedy that the original screenplay wanted. So it's still fun. It's still something that you could put as a mild PG-13, but it would have a little bit more of a... I would almost describe it as like I think Wakanda Forever, the second Black Panther movie, did really well at being able to make something that had like a fun, lightweight thing. You'd be okay with showing it to your kids, but also had that heart, mostly because of the death of Chadwick Boseman and how they chose to direct those scenes, that just tore the crap out of you. And I think that approaching it with that same mindset of, let's make a fun, accessible movie, we're here to show off cool dragons, make people smile, but the end of it is designed to remind you that, just like as cool as things are, they go away.
Yeah.
And you're sometimes doing what is right means you have to lose something.
No, I agree, and I don't lightly
idea.
suggest a remake either, because, like I said, most of the time I hate them. But with the right creative team, I feel like this could really be a lot of fun. But yeah, no, this has been good. I expected to cringe more, honestly, going back into this, and I actually enjoyed this. There were many times where like I want to watch it again and not have to talk through it, because I enjoyed this quite a bit.
I was really thinking the same thing. Yeah. I think I want to show it to my wife. She's never seen it, and now I'm just like, I want to watch Dragonheart. Yeah. I'm gonna go find its score and add it to my scores playlist. Next to The Rocketeer and Wrath of Khan.
Well, I mean, you got another what, 46 hours in your rental, right?
Yeah, something like that.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm interested.
Yeah. This was fun, and I'm glad we revisited this. I'm glad that I was like hoping that I wouldn't just be watching it, shaking my head, going like, only a kid could enjoy this movie. But I think that this is yes, if you're going to be all very critical, and I think it's a movie that if you just want to enjoy the themes and enjoy the the jokes and just be entertained, it's a perfectly great movie from the 90s. There are way worse movies from the 90s, put it that way. And
yeah,
this I still enjoyed this very much.
Yeah, and if anybody's interested, on the IMDb trivia page, there's somebody who went through who obviously loved the novelization. Maybe it was the novelization's author, and decided to add a whole bunch of trivia saying in the novelization they actually did it this way, and there's some pretty interesting stuff there. But for the sake of time and sanity, I'm gonna go ahead and say goodnight.
I will I will join you, my friend. Good night, everybody, and look forward to you next week.
Next week is going to be great. I'm super excited, but for now, I need to go to the bathroom.
Bye, everybody.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow, that room will eat you.